guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the U.S. Well, today I'm participating in Kylie Bertucci's monthly international blog highlights. This is the first time I've done this. And she always has the theme of thank you cards because there's always people out there doing things for you, and it's real important to send them a thank you card and encourage them too. So this time I'm using the Blessings of Home bundle, and I'll show you that bundle here in just a minute. And I just love the flowers in this image. And of course, I used my favorite Stampin' Blends to color it in. Now, if you'd like to stamp along with me, just look down in the video description below and click on that blog post link, and you'll find all the dimensions and the supply list there, so you can get everything together and come back and stamp with me. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first off, I want to show you this beautiful bundle. This is the Blessings of Home bundle, and this is actually going to be available tomorrow, so you don't have much longer to wait. That's January 4th of 2022. And I love the flower images. They have some great greetings, and the dies are really pretty. Of course, they've got two dies. They'll die cut the flowers, but also some standalone dies too, and I always love it when Stampin' Up does that. So this is a bundle I'm using. The stamps you'll need the big floral, actually both floral stamps, and the Thank You for Inspiring Me stamp. And with the dies, you're only going to need this one right here. I'm also using another die set. This is one of my go-to die sets. This is Stitched So Sweetly. It's in the annual catalog. And I'm going to be using the number 2 die of the scallops. Whenever I count, I start with the smallest being number 1. So number 2 would be this one right here. So those are all the dies you need. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's get all our stamping done first. So I want you to grab a piece of basic white that's 3.5 by 4.5 inches. And we're going to grab the large floral stamp and the Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad. Now, with this being such a large stamp, I'm going to ink this up this way, and I twist with the Memento ink pad. I think it covers a lot better, gets more ink on the stamp, and then just pounce on a little bit there at the end. As you can tell, that's all black, so I've got that nice and covered. So now we're going to stamp this. It really doesn't matter which way you stamp it. I'm actually stamping it upside down for what I'm doing, but that's okay. We're going to be die cutting it, so it doesn't matter. So we've got this all in. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, it's just pretty, just black. If you want to do a black and white card, you could just do that and be done with it. But I decided to color this in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. And I'm going to grab my Fresh Freesia. That's the color for these big flowers here. And whenever I use my stamping blends, there's no right way to do it. You can start with the light and go to the dark. I like starting with the dark. So wherever Stampin' Up has put some lines in the stamp, that's where the shadowing needs to be. I love how they do this brain work for us. So I'm just going to color these in with my dark. I'm going over them a few times because you want to saturate the cardstock. It works a lot better when you go to blend it too, and it just looks so pretty. Okay, it looks like I got all of the dark done there. So I'm going to grab my light Fresh Freesia. And I'm going over the dark again because this is how you get those shades to blend. Because sometimes if you don't blend them together, there's too much of a stark difference between the shades, and you want it to look a little more like a natural flower. Now, there's some instances though you may not want them to blend, and that's fine. But this time I do want them to blend. So I'm just going over, especially where the two shades meet. So get all of these colored in. Okay, now I'm going over the kind of the middle area again. This kind of darkens up the light just a little bit, so it almost looks like you have 3 different shades. It will lighten up, so it won't be show up quite as much, but I just like doing that again. So now we've got that shading, and now we're going to do the same thing with this flower. So I'll go ahead and do this real quick and come right back. Okay, so now I've got all the Fresh Freesia done. Isn't this looking gorgeous? It's making me look like an artist, and believe me, I cannot draw or paint. So now I'm going to grab the Pale Papaya blends, and this is the dark one. And I'm going to be coloring these here. So I'm going all with the dark here. So it's going to be these 2 flowers here. And I'm also going to do some of the others down here that kind of look like rose type flowers. So right here. This one looks a little bit more like a rose one. So we'll do these 2 right here, and this one with the Pale Papaya. So let's go ahead and finish this big one up first so you can see how I do it again. So I'm coloring all of those dark areas like so, going over them a little bit more again just so get that cardstock saturated. So let me turn this over. See, it's starting to bleed through, and that's what you want it to do. And then we'll go ahead and grab the light pale papaya. And I'll color this in, going over the dark again like I did with the fresh freesia. That gets those shadings nice and blended. And if you ever get done and want to add more dark, you definitely can. That's the neat thing about the blends. If it doesn't look quite the way you want it at the end, just go back and add some more color and just keep blending until it looks just the way you want it. So that's that flower, and I'll go ahead and finish this one with pale papaya and these two down here, and I'll be right back. I'm coming in real quick because I forgot this center here. I went ahead and colored it in with the dark. Okay, all the pale papaya are done. And one thing I think I forgot to mention, when you use your blends, you don't have to use a lot of pressure, especially when you use the brush tip. There is a blunt tip, like so, but I like using the brush tip. So now we're going to do the rest of the flowers except for the flower centers. We're going to do all the petals with the Misty Moonlight. So I've got my dark one again, and I'm going to color in wherever I see those lines, because we know that's where Stampin' Up suggests to have things dark. Of course, you can change it up if you want to, but why do that when you've got Stampin' Up doing it, figuring it out for you? Actually, I just realized that was the light one. So you know what we're going to do? If you do start with the light, just color this in. Sometimes with the blue, this one I have trouble noticing, and I just looked over and thought, wait a minute, that's the dark one. So I'm going to color the whole thing in with the light. So if you do that yourself, don't worry, there's a way to fix it. Because like I said, a lot of people like to start with the light and then go with the dark. So that's how I'll be doing this flower. So then wherever I saw those lines, I'm going to add that dark in. There we go. So hopefully you can see the little difference there. Let me get that a little closer. So the petals are a little bit lighter than they are here. So that's the way you do it if you want to do it light to dark. Color in the whole thing light and then add your dark. So let's go ahead and do the little flowers here and all of these flowers down here, the petals that is, with the Misty Moonlight. Okay, now I've got all the flowers done, but I want to do those big flower centers. So I'm grabbing cinnamon cider. And by the way, I forgot to say this at the beginning, all the colors I'm using come out of that Heart and Home Designer Series paper I'll be using here in just a minute. But every place where I see a dark area, especially these big ones, where you see lines, once again, I'm going to do the dark cinnamon cider. And I'm just going to do a few of these little ones here, just kind of dot them a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and do the centers of these little ones, the very center. Okay, and then these little ones, I'll go ahead and just do the dark, because they're really small and I don't think you can fit a lot of the light with it. Now I'll take the light and color these in, going over that dark again just to blend it in. Okay, we've got all of the centers done. Now we need to do the leaves. So I'm going to grab my old olive Stampin' Blends. And once again, start with the dark. So I'll just do a couple of the leaves and then do the others off camera. So wherever I see those lines, using a light touch again. And the reason you want to use a light touch also, even though it works with a light touch, that also preserves your brush tip so you don't tear it up. Because those ends can get frayed really easy if you go too hard. So I'm going over my dark again to blend those colors in. I really like coloring leaves with the blends. It just looks so pretty. Okay, there we go. I'm going to pull a little bit more of the dark up. There we go. So now we've got, you see the leaves and all the flowers colored in. So I'll go ahead and finish coloring the leaves and I'll be right back. Okay, we are all done coloring this in. Isn't this, oh, the image, this is so pretty. Oh, I love it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put this to the side. Let's grab a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. There are 2 of them, but you just need one for right now. We're going to take that other floral image and the fresh freesia ink pad. Now go ahead and get this all inked up. Now with these pads, you don't need to twist. They've got it's got more of a cushion, and I think it inks up a lot better. And I decided I'm just going to put a partial of this flower down here in the bottom corner, kind of angle it a little bit. There we go. I forgot to grab my Pierce mat, but it's still stamped just fine. Now with the large one that we just used, I really suggest using the Stampin' Pierce mat because it helps support the stamp and you get a nice image that way. And we've got one more thing to stamp. We'll grab the smallest piece of basic white. This is a 2.5 by 1.5. We'll grab the Misty Moonlight ink pad and the thank you stamp. And we'll get this stamped. I'll go ahead and grab this just to make sure I get a good image. I'm going to stamp it here in the middle. It doesn't have to be exact because we're going to die cut this out. Hold that down for a few seconds. There we go. And now we've got all the stamping done, so let's get our die cutting machine out. Okay, we're going to get some die cutting done first. Let's get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine together. We've got the platform number 1. That's the big platform, the base plate. And then the die plate number 2 and a standard cutting plate number 3. We'll grab that floral image and we'll put this, let's kind of put this up here. I might be able to get both of them on here. Let's first get the flower set up here. So we'll put this down. It will fit perfectly inside the opening of the die. I love how the edges of the opening go right around the image. Makes it so much easier to line up. And this is called Post-it tape. You can use washi tape if you want to, but this stuff comes off. It's just like a Post-it note, except it's in a tape version. Makes it a lot easier. It doesn't tear up your cardstock. Now I'm going to bring my Thank You for Inspiring Me and that scalloped rectangle from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Put this in. And I think probably one piece of tape. Well, no, I've got, just realized I have another one here. Good. There we go. Two's a little better because then it won't, this end won't wobble on me. And then we're going to put the standard cutting plate on top and run it through. I love die cutting because I'm not a big fussy cutter. I don't mind fussy cutting, but it is so much better with a die. So take the tape off nice and easy. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it. Okay, get this out of the way. And then we'll get this one. We've got a nice little greeting. And we're all done die cutting, but we need to do some embossing. So you want platform number 1, the big thick one, down. And then you'll need your Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder. This was in the list. I just hadn't shown it to you yet. This is in the annual catalog, just like the Stitch So Sweetly dies are in the annual catalog. And I want you to grab the last piece of basic white. This is another 4 by 5.25 inch piece. We'll just put this right inside. I mean, you use a 3D folder. And this one, it doesn't matter because the flowers are going every which way. But I like to line the edge of the cardstock with the line in the die. I mean, the embossing folder. So you lay this down, fold first. That needs going first. And then for 3D folder, all you need is the specialty plate number 4. And this does come with the machine. So you don't have to buy this unless you need a new one. Something happens to your first one, or if you don't have this machine, you can also buy this separately and use it with yours. The old one we used to sell, this does fit it in case you're wondering. Then we've got this one here. Isn't this gorgeous? We've had this one for a couple years, but it's still one of my favorites. I love it. Okay, we're all done with the die cutting machine, and let's finish this card. Okay, let's go ahead and grab the card base. This is a fresh freesia piece, 5.5 by 8.5. Line those corners up. I don't bother to check if the edges, the straight edges are lined up. Just as long as those corners are lined up, that gets you right in the halfway mark. So there, we've got that ready to go. Let's grab the emboss piece that we had just a minute ago. And I want you to grab the piece of the 2 pieces of designer series paper. This is from that Heart and Home designer series paper. This one is a 2 by 5.25. And this one is a 4 by 2. So we're going to put this one on first, the Pretty Fresh Freesia one. Get my seal out here. And since this is kind of narrow, I'm just going to go all the way across the top, making sure I've got it in the corners so my corners don't pop up on me. Okay. And we are going to put this along the left side, but I'm going to have a little of the white showing here on the left. But you can go all the way over if you like. I wanted, since this is the same color as the cardstock, I thought having that little white band right there would be a nice little touch. Now, sometimes when you emboss, the cardstock gets a little smaller, so I'm turning this over and I can see some of my designer series paper. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Just go right along the cardstock. Nice and easy. That's one of the reasons I put the designer series paper on before I put it on the card. That way, if I do have something hanging over, I can snip it off. So now we've got the 4x2" piece. And the neat thing with this paper, notice how there's some wood grains in there? Isn't that neat? So if you want the farmhouse look with the black and white type look, you can use that. You could sponge it with some brown if you want to make it look more like wood. A lot of different things you can do with this. So this one is going to go right across like this from end to end. So it's along this edge, the left edge of the embossed piece, and the right edge. Okay. Oh, nothing hanging over, so we don't have to worry about that. So we've got that on. Now we're going to grab a piece of ribbon. This is denim ribbon. It comes with a suite. This all comes from the Heart and Home suite, what I'm using so far, except for that ornate folder and the Stitch So Sweetly dies. But the new stamp set and the dies that go along with it and this ribbon are all in that same suite. So this 6-inch piece is going to go across like so, okay? So you can put regular adhesive on each end. I'm getting to where I like using glue dots. I used to use my seal, but now I just put a glue dot on each end, and you kind of help the glue dot as you lift it up. So I'm doing this and taking my fingernail, not much of a fingernail, doing that. And then it'll go right across here, leaving maybe a 1/2 inch at the most showing of the blue Designer Series paper showing. And if you ever hear me say DSP, that's Designer Series paper, in case you were wondering. Okay, so we've got that on there. So now that the ribbon is wrapped around, now we can put it on here. It is so easy to put that cardstock on before you put the ribbon on. And you're like, oh no, I got to take it off. The nice thing with the seal, though, if you're using Stampin' Seal, you can lift it back up pretty easy for the first 10 minutes, which is nice. So if you make a mistake, you can fix it. Okay, we've got that on now. So let's grab that beautiful floral image we just did. Isn't this neat? So if you like this side, you could actually do that too. 2 different ways. See, that's kind of pretty. I'm going to have to remember that. But we're going to go ahead and leave this side on here. I'm going to put, so if you like this side better, you go right ahead and use that side. That is really cool looking. Okay, we're going to put this down like so. You have it like this. And I'm okay with it being on top of that ribbon a little bit. If you want it to be hidden, you can do that too. Actually, I think I hid it on my first card. So let's go ahead and do it that way. That way I don't have to worry about those flowers coming up. Then I just push this down. So that's ready to go. Now I'm going to grab my thank you, and it's going to go right across here like so. Now, I could put dimensionals, because I'm going to pop this up on each end, but then it'd be attached to the ribbon and tend to fall off. So this is what I'm going to do. And the ribbon's kind of going to support those ends too. So I'm going to put one here on the top center and the bottom center. And that's it. And if you're worried that it might pop off, you can put a little seal here, but that's really all you need. It's going to stay on just fine. And that ribbon is going to keep it from wobbling on you. So I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool and get those paper backings off. You don't have to use your Take Your Pick tool. It's just something I've gotten in the habit of doing, so I don't have those little papers all over my house. Then we're going to put this down right here, nice and straight. And those dimensionals are attaching here, not on the ribbon. So it's going to stay on a lot better that way. And now I'm going to grab the whole roll of that denim ribbon and tie a little bow. I could have tied one here, and sometimes I have trouble getting my bows when I have it tied within the straight one here, of them going where I want them to. So I'm going to tie a separate bow on here. So I'm just making a little one. Bring this down a little bit. You can also cut off probably like a 9-inch piece, maybe even just a 6-inch. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab my scissors. And if you ever don't go down far enough, just untie it and go down a little bit. I almost did that with mine because this side is a little shorter than I wanted it to be. But that's okay. It looks fine. So now we've got our little bow. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Dimensionals. And once again, just put that right on that glue dot. Help it up a little bit. And I like the look of it being right here. I don't want to mess up my words. So I'm kind of bring them down here. There we go. So now it looks like I did a neat little fancy bow, and it looks like it's attached to that, doesn't it? A lot easier doing it that way. Okay, so we've got the front done. Let's grab that the inside that we stamped here, and we're going to attach it to the inside, and we are going to be done. Now, you don't have to decorate your insides. I like to do that. Now, I didn't used to, But probably for the last year, I have really liked adding a nice little inside to it. I usually do something real simple, like we just stamp that and we're done. But doesn't that look pretty in just the fresh freesia color? I think that's gorgeous. So that is it. That's my thank you card, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. And I would love to send out your first set of catalogs for free. This is the annual catalog and the mini catalog that the Heart and Home Suite is in. This one's the January to June that starts tomorrow, January 4th of 2022. And the celebration also starts tomorrow, January 4th. So you don't want to miss celebration. This is where you get a lot of free stuff. And I'll have some videos starting tomorrow explaining celebration and how you can place an order. So this is for anybody in the United States that does not have a demonstrator of their own. So I hope you had fun with stamping with me today. And thank you for Kylie for letting me be able to be in this blog highlights. And I'm going to put a link down at the bottom. If you like this card a lot, there's a link that you click on to vote for my card. From all the voting, the ones that get the top 10, that get the most votes, get to be in a blog hop at the end of January. So I'm hoping to make it there. So if you like my card enough and want to vote for it, just click on that vote here link that I'll have down in the video description. If you'd like to stamp with me again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking that subscribe button below, and then click on that bell that you see pop up and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video. Can't wait for tomorrow when the new catalogs start, including celebration. I'll see you later, guys. And please support my channel by giving me a thumbs up or commenting below. I really, really do appreciate it. Bye.